Welcome back to the Sun Host Sports Network. Today, I am joined by my boy Ross Kirby again. Once again, he's back. And a new guest on the show, Mr. Matt Wolfenden. Say what's up, fellas.
What's going on, guys?
Today, gonna be another reaction to the Nebraska versus Rutgers game. Kind of our thoughts, our feelings, and then later in the pod, we'll look ahead to Purdue and kind of do some scouting for that game. But for right now, I think we just kind of want to jump into the first half of the Husker game, where we looked awful. I want Wolf. I want your thoughts first on how we looked, and then we'll get into Ross.
I don't know. Awful is probably one of the nicest ways that you could have put that. They just made us look like we were toddlers. It's kind of same thing that our defense kind of looked like in the first half, if not the whole game all season, and really the last few seasons, just softer than Pampers, really. And really, that's just the way it is. And then figure it out in the second half and make it look good on the scoreboard. Luckily, ended up on the right side of it this time. But if we keep playing like that in the first half every single week, we're going to run into even like next or 2 weeks from now, 2 games from now. I guess we got a bye week in the middle there. But that Illinois team, Illinois is going to run all over us if we look like that again in the first half. And it's going to be a quick game, and it's going to be a couple 100 yards in the first half on the ground.
Yeah, I agree. Ross, I want your thoughts.
Yeah, first half again, like you said, just flat as could be. Second half, it's good to see us kind of fight back. We got some guys that battled through some things, and then I think it just took one play at a time, and then that's kind of what we needed. We got going a little bit, so it's a W's a W at the end of the day. Very stressful game to watch as a Husker fan, as all of us know. But yeah, I'm just glad that we got the W before Purdue because that was huge.
Yeah, I agree. Just some stats to go through. I mean, first of all, I just want to say that big props to Noah Vedral, who looked great on that first drive. Obviously, he was one of our quarterbacks a couple years ago, graduated, transferred, but Noah looked great. I know he's got a bum hand right now, but I really thought that it was gonna be, after Rutgers had a couple big plays on the first drive, and did they end up scoring on that first drive?
Yeah, because he pulled out that Lamar Jackson highlight
Yeah.
from high school on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's
Yeah, I mean, they got a touchdown the first 3 minutes, and then a field goal, and then I mean, like you guys said, we looked flat. But like I've said before, our defense has kept us in it for the most part. I think we're going to talk about our defense in the second half a little bit later, but that first half, like Wolf was saying, we did not look great. We looked like we were soft as Pampers out there, like you said. So no, I think Casey did enough to keep us in the game in the first half. I also think our defense towards the getting to halftime did enough to keep us in there too. I think we got a little bit of juice going right before half, and I think it played a big part into the second half where we looked great. But, uh, but yeah, I think one of the big things that Ross and I have talked about too is kind of some halftime adjustments with this team, that they've made since. I don't want to necessarily say since Scott has been gone, but it kind of seems like we've made more adjustments, more improvements to our game plan at halftime since Scott has been gone. And yeah,
It's almost like the adjustments that get made at half make more sense now than they did while Scott was here. And that's obviously no slight to him because he put us in position to win games at times, but he also put us in other positions to lose those same games that
right.
we ended up losing at the end of the day. But the adjustments seem to make sense now compared to while Scott was here for the last 4 years and 3 games.
Right. Yeah, Ross, you want to piggyback on that?
Yeah. I think Bill Bush in his interview after the game he talked about how there's tough conversations that they're being had here at halftime. Like these, like they're getting their ass chewed,
Mhm.
and I mean, yeah, they're responding. So that's what they want, and we got to praise these guys a little bit for what they've been through. You know, we're always talking like what they could do better, but God, dude, they've been through a lot for these guys who have been here for a year to 4 years. You know, so it's good to see that they're still responding and still being able to listen to these coaches and then go and just do it in the second half. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I want to say that, from kickoff, it kind of I kind of felt like a not so confident, I guess, coming off a short week. We played on a Friday night. Um, it was a short week coming into this game. I didn't necessarily have a lot of confidence going into this game. This is one of our, I would like to call it a trap game, but it's not really a trap game when Nebraska is 2-3, 1-3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So looking at this game, it's kind of like who's going to be the more physical team, who's going to put points on the board and not allow them to put points on the board. Which is every college football game. That's the goal, to not let the other team score as many as you do. But I really thought it was. I don't know. I had a weird feeling about it. I don't know if you guys did too, but I definitely had a little weird feeling that it could turn sideways real quick, and it almost did in that first quarter.
Yeah, I think just on the road, there's a lot of new faces, a lot of these guys, new environments they've never been to. Um, but yeah, that's all I got to say on that.
Yeah, and the only other thing I mean, obviously it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. Where you're scheduled to show up and play is where you're scheduled to show up and play, when, where, and however. But at the same time, there's it's still human going on what, a 5-hour plane ride to New Jersey from Lincoln
Right.
after a short week,
Right.
opposite end of the country. Like, it's still going to be what it is. But again, settling in is a big thing that needs to happen quicker
Yeah,
than it has been.
Yeah.
I agree.
And another point to make on that is, we got, Casey and Grant and Trey Palmer are the three guys that need to light the fire on a road game. Like they need to get us going somewhere or another.
Yeah.
So as long
No,
as we can do that, I think we can stay with them.
I agree. Um, speaking about Casey and Anthony Grant, I thought that Casey played okay. Obviously, he played well enough for us to win the game, but you know, we'd like to not throw two picks. We'd like to get Anthony Grant not averaging 2.5 yards a carry. If we're gonna win these next couple games, especially against better opponents, when I look at Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, still Minnesota, we're gonna have to play a lot better. We're gonna have to be a lot more physical, especially that Wisconsin Minnesota games. I mean, just being around here, those are big boys. Growing up in Wisconsin, Minnesota, the home state boys that play for those teams, those are large human beings. And so I think Nebraska's gonna have to do a better job. First of all, we got to do a better job of getting our O line ready. I think. I don't know what we're doing on the right side there. Just uh, switching Ben Hart and who is Hunter Anthony. I think that's his
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
We gotta get some sort of stability on the right side of our line, and it's got to happen quickly. I
Yeah.
think.
Like we're going on game 7 here. Like we got to figure something out. We got to
Right.
find our guys who can play. I get injuries and all that bug and all that comes along, but right now I don't think it's really injuries plaguing us on the O line. I think it's just inconsistency and these guys not playing with each other.
Right.
So that needs to get figured out right now.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah, it's not necessary. It's like you said, Ross. It's week 7. Like, this offensive line stuff needed to be figured out week 3, even at the latest, of who your 5 is going to be. Sure, like, injuries are going to happen, but it's like we don't have guys that are just plug and play
Yeah,
like
exactly.
we have had in the past. And I'm not even talking, like most people talk about Nebraska fans or 90s this, 90s that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about even really Pelini didn't have the greatest offensive lines or anything like that, but he had guys that you could plug and play into different spots and get it done better than the way that it's getting done right now.
Yeah,
Right.
he had 5 or 6 Turner Cochrans, you know.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
put their head down, do it.
Yeah. I mean, he's just taking a look at some stats here. You know, obviously Casey with the 2 picks. Had 2 touchdowns though. So like I said, he did enough for us to get the job done. But you look at our rushing stats and just kind of averaging 2.5 yards a carry. Uh, Anthony Grant held under 50 yards against, I would say, probably a weaker, not more physical team than anybody in the league. Talking about Rutgers, you know, that's kind of, I don't want to say it's eye opening, but it's kind of like, you know, you take a look at that. You know, 19 carries for 47 yards. But Jaquez Yant had a solid game for what he was put in to do. You know, 4 carries for 22 yards. I really wish we could get him the ball a lot more often in certain situations. Obviously, goal line's a big thing. He's a 6'2", 230-pound back. But even on those short, you know, 3rd and 3s, you know, 3rd and 2s, I would love to see Yant get the ball more instead of Anthony and saving him for maybe, you know, the rest of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that or throwing a pass play on 3rd and 2 or something.
Yeah, I don't want us
Yeah.
throwing a fucking 10-yard slant or a dig across the middle on 3rd and 2. No, thank you.
Mhm.
Let's play some Big Ten football. Let's run it down their fucking mouth because that's what Nebraska does.
Yeah.
And I think
Grant is the back for that.
yes,
Anthony Grant is what Anthony Grant is.
yes,
Anthony Grant can put his foot in the ground and go in a different direction, and he, as we saw the video blow up on Twitter this weekend,
Yeah.
he can put a dude in a body bag if he needs to.
yeah,
But like you were saying, 3rd and 2, let's quit passing it. And maybe on 3rd and 8, if you want to run it so badly, give it to somebody who can get you 8 yards when you put the ball in their hand. Let's not put it in Chubba Purdy's hands
Yeah.
on 3rd and 8 or whatever for one play just to go punt and get it done with. Let's try and move the ball at times and I mean, not turn the ball over and pass it necessarily if you feel the run is the way that you need to go, but let's not put it in the quarterback's hands. Let's put it into somebody who can, for sure, almost every time get you a
Yeah.
carry.
Off of like finding, you know, AJ Allen was that second guy that could come in and, you know, and was doing really well before that injury, you know. But I still don't think we've found that guy. You know, we've Gabe Irvin didn't even really have a shot at that game against Rutgers at all. I feel. You know, even just close the end, getting 4 carries for a game isn't going to do that either. So we definitely got to find somebody that can be consistent number 2 in there and get Anthony Grant some rest, and but still be able to you know wind down that defensive front. But
yeah. No, sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's all I got.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I would like to find a solid complementary back to Anthony Grant. I don't think we've figured that out yet. Yes, Yant has gotten a lot more carries than you just said his name, Gabe Irvin. Yes, he's gotten more carries than Gabe Irvin, and even Ramir Johnson, who hasn't really seen the field at all this year. But I still don't think this offense. I don't think Whipple's set on 2 solid guys. You know, we're set on one, but we're not really set on two guys that we can rotate, because obviously we don't want Anthony Grant to carry the ball 30 times a game like he did against Indiana. But if that's what it takes, and I guess that's what it takes. But I don't know if I want him, you know, 30 carries a game is gonna, especially in the Big Ten, it's gonna wear you down, especially when we get into the later season. And if we want to make a bowl game, we're gonna need everybody healthy. So
Well, with that going in, let's get into Thompson here taking those hits.
yeah.
Boy, that right shoulder these last 2 games has taken a beating. I don't know like how much he can take. I know he's being a dog right now and sticking it out and, you know, helping us get through the game, but I don't know how many more of those you can take. So let's go on that a little bit.
Yeah, like I said, I think it all comes down to just finding a groove on the offensive line. You know, I think we're still, like we said earlier, we're just kind of rotating that right side in. Um, and if we find some stability, you know, I think we'd look a lot better. But obviously, you know, Casey's going to take hits. Every quarterback's going to take hits. But I think we want to minimize those to where they're not big hits. You know, a sack is fine or
Mhm.
two, whatever. But I don't want Casey coming down on his shoulder 5 times a game. I'd like him, you know, if he's gonna run, you know, that's fine. He can protect himself. He can do what he needs to do to not take a big hit on his shoulder, you know, most of the times. But just somebody coming off the edge and kind of blindsiding him or coming off his right side and taking a blow to that right shoulder where they're gonna hit him first is not what we're looking to do. But
Yeah, and going in on if Thompson would ever to go down, as of right now, I think just the times we've thrown Purdy in has just been really questionable, and I think it probably take maybe a series for him obviously to try to get a little bit comfortable, but at this point, like they've definitely hurt his confidence. That like we mentioned that last pod, throwing him in there to get that turnover, obviously in the end zone, giving up a TD, but boy, they gotta let him give him off a couple runs to getting in the feel for the game before just throw him into the fire like they did last game.
all right,
Like you said, 3rd and 8, let's throw Purdy in, right? But I'm glad they have the confidence in him to do that. So that speaks on the volume of the coaches, but help this guy out a little bit
no, I
because
agree.
there could definitely be a time that he might take over.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. And going back on Casey and that shoulder, it's one thing if it's like a trip up on a rollout or something, but when you're taking 350 pound guys on your shoulder every single time that you're getting driven into the ground, it's not going to get us anywhere. We're going to figure out how deep that quarterback room actually ends up being if some of those guys aren't ready, like, because we don't know how ready some of them are. You know what I mean? Like you said, Chuba's only had a couple series, and they were 2 or 3 play series. Like, hey, get us out of this sticky situation. All you got to do is be the body on the field, more than hey, go make something happen with the football.
Right.
Yeah.
And that needs to be a difference if we're going to end up having to play Chuba. He needs to have series that make sense for him to be in and longer than a play or 2 plays or 3 plays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I so yeah, like you guys are saying, some of those times it's really questionable we throw him in. I understand the coaching staff wants to have set plays for him, but I think we gotta be a little smarter where we throw Chuba in. Oh,
And that's not saying that 3rd and 10 when Casey went out,
Mm-hmm.
or 2nd and 10 and he went down with the injury and then got taken out of the half or whatever. That's not saying that time, because obviously when he gets injured, you have to put a guy on the field.
Yeah.
right.
So like that is what it is. So, but there's got to be times. There's other times than that don't make as much sense as it does to just leave Casey in there or give Chuba the whole drive.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
No, I agree. I think moving on, we'll just go down the line here, just looking at some receiving stats. Marcus Washington had a big game for us. I think he needed to though, mainly because Trey Palmer was getting locked up. Obviously, Trey had a big touchdown there in the third quarters when we finally scored. Um, but I thought Marcus Washington looked great. What was the same? Yeah, I think I like Travis getting a little more targets there. You know, he had 6 for 46, obviously with a touchdown too. On a nice play. That was a great play design, by the way. Travis catching that touchdown pass, but yeah, no, it was good to see Travis get some more targets. Still want to see Alontae Brown get a little bit more involved. Obviously, Chancellor Brewington, he's got some wheels for a big boy, for a big tight end there. So it'd be kind of nice to see some more of these skill position guys get a little bit more involved. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I'll let you guys speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, Matt, if you want to go for a bit.
I like Chancellor Brewington a lot, and I know it's probably going to piss a lot of people off, but I feel like Chancellor Brewington's a lot like a George Kittle type of tight end. Like he will put his nose right into your chin strap and drive you straight into the dirt. But if you get him into the open field and has to make a play one on one, there's signs of him. He's a younger guy, so like it's not obviously to the George Kittle level, but he can make a guy miss or he can run through a guy if he has to, and he loves doing it.
Right.
That's the big thing is when the tight end loves to just drive somebody's face into the dirt, but still loves to go make somebody miss at the same time. That's a big, big weapon to have. And Vokalek is a big bruiser, like kind of like a Gronk type of, not necessarily as tall as like Austin Allen was, where you just throw it up and he's the only one that can get it at any point in time.
Right.
But our tight ends, I like our tight end room a lot, and it's only going to get better. You know, when Fedoni comes back, I think he's going to be a big addition once he finally gets healthy. And I think that's probably going to be pretty soon, relatively sooner than later, I think.
Yep.
But at the same time, he could very well just take most of this season off and just chill and be here next season. I don't necessarily see that happening with the 4 games that you can get now and not lose a red shirt. If he still is able to have that, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
With a medical red shirt, I'm not sure how it works.
Medical COVID year as well.
Oh yeah.
And then obviously red shirt still for he's probably still okay.
Yeah. But our tight ends, I like our tight ends getting in the mix a lot more. And our wide receiver room seems deep even outside of who we've already seen this season.
Yeah.
Like Isaiah Garcia Castaneda is in there, and we haven't seen him for a couple weeks more than a catch or two for the last few weeks. So when those guys come, and I just think our playmakers we got players in those rooms and that can make plays. They just need to be on the field to make those plays and give them a great opportunity to do it.
Yeah. No, I think, talking about tight ends, I think like you said, I think they've looked solid all year, with Vogue being just kind of banged up. Other than that, they've looked probably one of our most solid positions that we've got, kind of laid out. We talk about the skill positions, but I think, tight end's got to be right up there, and then you've got obviously our receiver room, with Trey Palmer and Washington leading that. But I think it also comes back to just playing, just kind of some Big Ten football. You just take a look at Big Ten teams in Michigan and Iowa's always had great tight ends, and they've always done very well in the Big Ten. So I think if you have a deep tight end room, you have a lot of playmakers that not necessarily could change a game, but that can get you yards, that can get you a third down, that can be a possessive tight end, and secure a third down, secure a big touchdown like Vokalek did. I think it's going to help us throughout the season and hopefully push us to a bowl game. We'll talk about that later, but no, I think you're right. We get Burrington a little bit more involved, and hopefully Vogue can stay healthy the rest of the season, and then we get, Fedone back next year or later this year. So no, I think you're spot on with that.
Yeah.
I do want to see some of our speedsters though get more involved. Like I was saying, Lante Brown, maybe get Oliver Martin a little bit more. A lot. I shouldn't say more involved. I should say more targets. Obviously, Casey and Trey have a connection, and it's been great all year. But when they're teams have figured out like, hey, Trey's our one guy. We're gonna try and shut him down. And I think that's kind of what happened that first half. But it's good to have. Yeah, it's good to have Marcus Washington to fall back on, Alante Brown, Oliver Martin, and then we talk about the tight end group. But that's just my thoughts on that. So
yeah, I don't think I gotta add anything else to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that
maybe we can talk about an interesting skill guy now. Tommy Hill moving to wide receiver.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
What's up with that?
I think it's probably. I want to be careful how I word this. I want to say smart, but I don't know how I feel about that yet because we didn't get to see him, obviously play any downs on the offensive side.
Yeah. I
So
mean, how does
apparently, go ahead. Sorry.
how does a guy go from starting quarterback just to, oh, now we're gonna try him at wide receiver?
Yeah,
Like obviously he's explosive. I mean, he returns kicks, like so obviously he's got the skill sets to probably do that. But just it's an interesting topic,
yeah. Well,
find a guy who's literally number one at our cornerback position, and then they just move him.
real quick before you say something, Wolf, I want to say that apparently I saw a tweet and it said that Tommy was actually a pretty standout wide receiver in high school. And I don't know if he got recruited, play both sides. I doubt it. Obviously, start of the year as number one corner, but he's got some wide receiver skill in him still. Obviously, if they're kind of warming him up with the receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but no, I think he's got playmaking abilities. He's looked a little suspect on defense, and I think maybe you try anything you can to get a win, and if Tommy's going to help us on offense, might as well try it. Well, I guess might as well try it in practice first, and then I think it probably would have been. I think if this would have been a larger lead for Nebraska, like if say we jump out to 21-0 on Rutgers, I think that's when we put Tommy Hill in. You know what I mean? I think this was the game where we should have tried to get him some reps there just to see what he looks like. But these next coming games, I don't know if we're gonna get to see much of him on offense at all, or if he's even gonna stick with the offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like we talked about earlier with the skill sets, like we got guys in that position that can do something. It's just about getting them in the right spots and getting targets to make something happen. But yeah, so that'd be interesting to keep a lookout and see if he comes back because he did change his number too.
Yeah. Yep.
So he's number 2 now. So be looking for him. You got anything to add to that, Matt,
I nothing more than
or your theory?
I don't I don't know if it's necessarily anything other more than we needed to find wins, and he was a guy willing to move places. So we're
Right.
going to put guys into a different spot to figure out how to win games because we haven't been figuring out how to win games. So we have to do something. And that was one of the some things that needed to be done. Somebody maybe had to move, and he was the one that was willing to move or something of that sort. And the reason we don't see him necessarily is because the offensive side of the playbook to him is just so new
Right.
that he's not ready to see game time based on the newness of the offensive side of the playbook to him.
Right.
I guess the good thing about on the other end of that is seeing that someone's been able to come and fulfill his shoes on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Moore came in there and made that huge interception that kind of sealed the game for us a little bit, but it's good to see that we still got guys. Obviously, that cornerbacks position, everybody in the back of that defense was pretty good depth wise. So I think we can definitely sacrifice a guy like Tommy Hill to the offensive side of the ball if that works out.
Right.
And if we're sacrificing Tommy Hill for a Malcolm Hartzog, I'll take that. I mean,
That's got 4 years.
he got picked on real badly at the beginning,
Yeah.
but it's not like he was getting completely torched at the beginning. Like that's a true freshman.
Right.
So like he was making true freshman mistakes and then figured it out in the second half, and it was the one who put the game away for us. So
Right.
like if we sacrifice Tommy Hill to the offense and pick up a Malcolm Hartzog on the back end of that, I mean, who's really going to complain about that?
No, 100%. Yeah, and you guys are pros at this, just leading it right into the talking about some defense stuff. Yeah, I thought Malcolm did a great job. Obviously he did get picked on there early. They were going after him mainly because he is a true freshman. But I like that the Bill Bush did pull him aside for a couple series and be like, hey, just kind of watch, just kind of see what's going on, and we'll adjust from here. After he comes back from sitting a couple series, he played extremely well. Obviously, he had the pick at the end of the game, but I think for most of the game after he got put back in, he had a couple. I think he had at least one pass breakup, but no, he looked pretty. He looked solid. He looked comfortable after being put back in there, I think.
Yeah.
So, um, our D line. I don't know how you guys thought our D line played, but I think just having Garrett Nelson earlier in the year being our really only form of pass rush was not going to work for the rest of the year. And it was good to see O'Shawn Mathis and who else was it? Caleb Tanner have a couple tackles for loss. G had a nice sack there. Mathis had a sack, but it's good to see some more pressure on the quarterback now, more than we did in the first, 4 games. So, no, I thought the defense, especially G, played really well last night or on Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think honestly on the defensive side of the ball, we found our guys. Besides, maybe throwing a couple two in the mix, but I guess when we're looking up front, I think we've been doing a lot better job of rotating those guys in, giving Wynn and giving all them other guys a chance to get in there and take a breather. And they've been holding up their own. I think like a guy like Drew and Wynn, are just going to take a little bit of time yet in the Big Ten play, physicality differences and stuff like that, schemes. But I think sooner or later, as it's kind of shown here in this last 2 games in the second half, that our defense is getting a lot more consistent. Hopefully that stays the same, and we can see that progress along the year. But I'm feeling a lot better about it right now than I did in the first part of the year. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, that's for fucking sure.
Yeah, that front four, those main 4 guys, O'Shawn, Garrett Nelson, Ty Robinson, and Colton Feast are finally starting to gel as a unit more than it was per guy, being a wrecker. And Colton Feast is making more plays. Ty Robinson is finally Ty Robinson again these last couple games. And when Ty Robinson is finally Ty Robinson again, as we've seen, is it opens up holes for guys like Garrett Nelson, Caleb Tanner, and O'Shawn Mathis. O'Shawn, those first 3 or 4 games really were more of a impact guy not on the stat sheet than it has been in the last couple of weeks, to where you can see the damage that he's done on a stat sheet more than the first few weeks. And that's what a lot of people look at more than, the forcing things inside to other people, or the hurries that he gets on quarterbacks. Like, those were always there. It's just we are getting home now because people have to pay attention to Ty Robinson and Garrett Nelson and Colton Feast and everybody else that comes in, because we're all getting our feet underneath us as a unit up front on defense, compared to in other places where it needs to be won and it's not quite won, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you make a lot of good points right there.
I couldn't have said that any better, honestly. No, that's 100% what's happening is they're just gelling, I think. It's really good, and we talk about O'Shawn, and he's a really smart player, there's, I think in that Indiana game, there was one play that they were running a screen to the halfback, but O'Shawn stayed home, and he kind of made Bazelak take a second, like a pump, and made him think about it, and it gave Ty Robinson a sack. So just for him doing that, obviously it doesn't show up on the stat sheet. It plays a big part, and like you were saying, it's good to see now that he's showing up on the stat sheet. And that's what a lot of people, or just a casual fan, is gonna look at the stat sheet and be like, "Oh, O'Shawn had for this game, 4 tackles, a sack, and a TFL." And a lot of people might think, yeah, it was a pretty, elementary game, whatever. But no, I thought O'Shawn did a really fantastic job of just supporting and also picking his right times to go out and get his. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was really pleased with the way the front four played. Um, our cornerback still got a little bit to figure out. You know, we did get burned on a couple plays and gave up a couple big passes, but that's what you're gonna get with the younger corners. You know, and our safeties and Isaac being our nickel still played decently well, but yeah, if we get these corners, a little tightened up, Malcolm a lot more reps. He's like we said, he's looked great. Um, I think our defense is getting better by the week, and I think that's what a lot of Husker fans want to see is our defense show up, show out, and we're pitching shutouts right now in the second halves of the last two games. No points. I think 4 takeaways, under 50 yards of offense for the other team. So our defense has really stepped up, and I think you can credit that to Bill Bush and letting Mickey, just kind of be like, hey, this is yours. Do with it what you will. And get the boys ready. So
Really, at the end of the day, you hand the keys over and you say, how much worse can it get?
yeah,
You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
those first 4 games, not saying that this isn't like going to be the worst defense that Nebraska's had in a long time at the end of the week, at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But the way that we are trending is we have figured the way those first 4 weeks went, statistically was the worst defense that we've ever had.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the way that these last 2 weeks have gone has shown signs of life that we have really kind of gotten our heads out our asses and figured it out.
Yep. Yep. I agree. We've looked great on defense in the second half. First half's a different story. Just come out a little flat, but second half is where you win football games. So
Well, the scores at halftime does not matter.
yes, exactly. I don't know what you guys thought when we were down 13-0 at half, but I was like, I should probably stop watching if I want to save my mental health.
Yeah.
But
And that's just all that PTSD. And it's like we talked a little bit beforehand, is that fumbled snap on that kneel. I was like, of course, this is going to be what happens and where it all falls. Got that one back. So
well, I even heard Casey. He was talking post game, and he was like, "Well, apparently they were like grabbing at it. You know what I mean? They were punching for it. But he was kind of saying, maybe I need to talk to Whipple, and we go shotgun there, which I've seen. You even play just like if you play like Madden games or the old college football games, everything's under center and you take a knee. But now you see, the last couple of years, a lot of people are just going shotgun, taking a knee, which I think is a lot smarter.
We even did that with Adrian the last couple of years in situations. I want to say against Northwestern last year, we were taking a knee in the shotgun. Like the stat doesn't matter. Screw the 5 yards you lose. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, Casey's averaging like negative 40 yards, or he's got negative 40 yards on the season rushing. So it's not going to matter anything. It's fine if you lose 5. Just secure the ball, get us a win, let us go home.
Yeah, I mean,
it's crazy that we're even at this point because for the last 4 years we were like, we cannot get a shotgun snap off. Like, why are we in the shotgun? And now we're sitting here having a conversation about, hey, we do not have to go under center to do anything. Let's not go under center. Actually, how does that sound?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you guys want to kind of transition into Purdue?
Yes, sir.
Like you guys are talking about the first half woes and our defense holding up for us and all this and that, but I think we're getting into these games now. We got Purdue, Minnesota, Illinois could be a top 25 team when we show up there.
Illinois is a top 25 team. Yeah,
they did.
Yeah, number 24 that came out.
Yeah.
There you go. So, then, Purdue's a team, again, that could easily be ranked, too. I mean, they lost a couple close ones and then pulling that one out against a very good Maryland team that held Michigan to its own. So, yeah, it's definitely, this is our biggest test, I think, besides you could say Oklahoma, but we're not even thinking about that. We want to put that one out.
Who cares what Oklahoma does because they haven't done shit since.
It's a curse, bro.
by far. Getting beat 49-0 in that rivalry game. Wow.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to this Purdue game. I think the line is like Purdue 11, right? Something like
I
that.
saw 13.5 today.
Yeah. So like there's not a lot of people that believe that Nebraska can pull this off. And in my earlier pause at the beginning of the season when I did a reaction to the Oklahoma game and I did my, let's go down the list of games I think we can win. I've always said we have to go into Purdue, we have to go to West Lafayette, and we have to play Purdue at home. And in the past, Purdue's always given Nebraska troubles, no matter what our rank was, no matter how we're looking. It's just always been a dogfight against Purdue. And Jeff Brom is a good coach, but it's just something about Purdue that just kind of is like this is it. Like this is kind of where our season can crumble, or we can turn around and get some momentum going into Illinois, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. So I'm gonna say that I still stand by that we have to go to Purdue. I just don't think we pull it out. I don't think our team is there yet. I know our defense is playing a lot better these last 2 weeks. So I think it's gonna be a close game, but our offense has really got to figure something out. We start hot the first series, we've kind of scored, but we've got to figure out between 10 minutes and 5 minutes, or 10 minutes in the first quarter to 5 minutes left in the second. We got to figure something out to get something rolling. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah.
I want your guys' thoughts on the Purdue game. So start with you, Ross.
Yeah, prediction wise, I'll start with prediction. I think we'll probably lose this one, sadly, by at least a touchdown, maybe 10 points or so. But that's not saying we have an opportunity. We have the best opportunity right now. This is going to show us where we're at right now under Mickey Joseph.
Yep.
On where we can be and where we're at right now. But I don't think they're unbeatable, obviously, but I also think that if we come in here with the right strat and the mindset of these guys that this is our game to win, because Purdue's feeling good right now, and they definitely have the target on their back when it comes to this game. But they got a wide receiver. I think where was he from? Iowa. He transferred over, and he's I think he's leading the Big Ten right now in receptions and yards. So he's the big threat that we're going to have to find someone to lock in on him. But they put up 31 against Maryland, so they can definitely score the ball when they need to, and I think their defenses obviously can hold up too. So I mean, if our defense can hold up as it's been, and our offense can go out there and not shit the bed and just keep that momentum, I think that's the biggest thing that's kind of held us up on the offensive side. We looked really good. We've been really hot, or else we've just been really dry. But yeah, I still think that this is a chance for us to go out there and definitely snag one here in Purdue.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if I disagree with anything that you said. Really, at the end of the day, this is a game that I don't want to say that we need to win this game, but we kind of need to win this game.
Yep.
To figure out where we are. It's more of a heat check than it is anything else.
Yeah.
Like, is this flame gonna die this week, or are we going to be able to continue to ride this hot wave that the defense has been in the second half, and the offense kind of can get it done when it needs to. We just need to be able to get it done at all moments of time. Let's not give everybody in the state of Nebraska a heart attack anymore. Like we've had plenty of heart attacks over the last 10 years. Like we don't need any more of them. So let's just figure it out. Purdue's one of those teams that for whatever reason sticks around and can put themselves into games. They're kind of like a Northwestern. Like they're kind of annoying. They're not the greatest. They're not fighting for a playoff spot every season. But they will put themselves into games to where they will make it interesting and they will win a few. Now let's go be that team.
Yeah.
Let's go put ourselves into situations where we can win games and prove that we can win games, because over the last 4 years, all we've done is prove that we can lose games.
Yep.
In the last 2 weeks, we have proven that we can win games. Sure, Rutgers is nothing, or Rutgers, not that they're nothing, but like if Noah Vedril's healthy in that game, we lose that game.
Yep.
End of story. He's running the ball more if he doesn't have a bum hand. He's able to complete passes. Like, and if we continue to play like that in the first half, it's not going to be 13-0 at halftime. It's going to be 30-0 at halftime. And you're going to find yourself in a hole that you're not able to get out of. And if you do, congratulations, you got yourself a permanent head coaching job. Like,
Yeah.
really, if you can dig yourself out of a 30-0 hole, like if you don't just hand the keys over full time after that, then what are you doing?
Yep.
But we have to play 4 quarters, not 2, or not 3.5.
Yep.
Or whatever, because we are in the meat and potatoes right now. It doesn't get, Rutgers was probably the easiest that it's going to get.
Yep.
So, like, we got to figure it out from the time that it says 15 minutes in the first quarter, not 15 minutes in the third quarter.
Yep. Yeah, that was beautiful. I really enjoyed that. You know, just taking a look at Purdue's last 5, you know, their only loss in the last 5 is to a Syracuse team who's been okay this year, but
Pretty sure they're ranked as well.
yeah. But they beat a pretty good Minnesota team who was ranked, I think, at the time. And they beat a pretty good Maryland team who gave Michigan some troubles. So, they're like Matt said, they're just finding ways to win. They're finding ways to stick around. And if we let that happen, it's not going to be close. I think we got to put more than 14 up. Purdue's rush defense has looked pretty great. I mean, they're allowing under 100 a game, and you know we're giving up almost 270 yards a game in passing.
That made me want to puke.
Yeah, yeah.
Hearing you say that number genuinely made me want to throw up.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to find some way to get Casey going early or get Anthony Grant going early, because it's not gonna be great if we don't. And their defense has been pretty solid, I think, throughout the whole year. You know, only giving up 22 a game, 330 yards allowed. To Nebraska, we're giving up 30 points a game and 450 yards a game. So, yeah, we're gonna have to figure it out. And in reading those
favorites makes sense.
I think it does make sense. It does. There's a lot of people just not happy with that, with the way that Nebraska's played the last 2 weeks, but I think it's realistic. And I think that's what a lot of people are forgetting, is that we still have to be realistic as Husker fans, because we're not quite there. We had these last 2 games have been bottom feeders of the Big Ten in all the years that we've been a part of the Big Ten, except for Indiana had one fluke year where they made a bowl game and they were decent. I guess Purdue's not been a bottom, Rutgers was a bottom feeder team. They've not been great. So to barely squeak by Rutgers and then now coming into this Purdue game, you know, this also could decide who's in the conference championship at the end of the year. I take that into account. You know,
Purdue, Illinois, and us right now, I guess
Yeah.
I would say.
Purdue's, you know, we're all.
Who would have thought? Week 4, we lose our head coach. Week 5, we lose our defensive coordinator. Or we whatever. Game 5, we lose the defensive coordinator, and here we are, tied for first in the Big Ten West. And the winner of this weekend could very well be in Indianapolis. If we could figure it out, I think that if we win this Purdue game, I think it's a page turned, and it's not just a fluke that these last 2 games we were able to figure it out.
Right. Yeah, it's like we've said, just this last 5-10 minutes of the spot, it's gonna be a game to watch. I think there's gonna be a lot of eyes on this game, and people are gonna be like, is Nebraska for real? Can this defense hold up? Can the offense get going? So I don't know, man. I still don't think we pull it out, just for the sole fact that we have to go into West Lafayette and we have to play Purdue on the road. That's if we're playing at home, I think it's a different story because coming back after 2 straight wins, our defense is looking great, and we have the home energy. I think we win this game. But just having to go there, also a Purdue team that just does not quit for some fucking reason. And not for some fucking reason, but I think it's gonna be a tough one to pull out. So Ross, like Ross is saying, it's a good game to go out and get for sure. There's a lot of things, a lot of different ways we could win this game, but me personally, I just don't think it's gonna happen. So, but we'll see. I'd like a nice surprise. We could be sitting here next Sunday and be like, hey, we beat Purdue. We're sole possession of the Big Ten West, and let's go get Illinois and Minnesota after that, which by the way are 2 very winnable games, I think.
Tough. They're tough.
They're tough, but I think they're winnable. I know Illinois is ranked, but I think Illinois is more winnable than Purdue. And if that doesn't make sense, I'm sorry because I don't make sense a lot of times, but I think it's a more winnable game than this Purdue game for the sole fact that we have them at home. I think looking at we have Illinois at home, Minnesota at home, and then we get Michigan on the road, Wisconsin, and Iowa. So no, I think the 2 games after Purdue are very winnable, and we're looking at possibly going to the conference championship. But we got to get through Purdue first. So,
Definitely.
man, it's fucking crazy just to look at this West standings and see Illinois, Purdue, Nebraska at the top. Isn't that fucking crazy? And then you see Wisconsin and Iowa down there at the bottom.
I ain't mad about that, but I hate
That is
just
unbelievable.
a little bit of Kool-Aid that we do not need right now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
should be based on the way the season started, and obviously it's easier now than it has been in the last 4 years to come down to earth and be like, oh, we're actually garbage.
Yeah.
And it's not it's not good around here right now.
Yep.
But at the same time, all it takes Nebraska fans is the little bit of glimpse of hope for them to start sniffing around again.
Yep.
And I think that happening 4 years ago that we started, if this was Scott figuring it out, we would be riding that we're back stage,
Yeah.
and that Texas too early to say we're back is what would be happening if Scott were the one to have figured it out. But since it's not, and we have an interim coach that's trying to figure it out right now, it's easier to see that we could easily lose this game and it would be okay. Not that losing is okay, obviously.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Ross just texted me and said his computer died. So
Oh, I was gonna say, wow, that's goofy. He ain't blinked in a minute.
yeah. You guys get a nice still image of Ross there. Yeah, I think Matt and I will wrap this up. I think we'll wrap it up. I think we're pretty much at the end here. Yeah, any last thoughts on looking ahead to Purdue and then maybe the rest of the season?
I think Purdue is going to be a tough one to get. Illinois is going to be it's like we said earlier, it's the meat and potatoes, and it's going to be brutal the rest of the way down the road if we don't have it as figured out. If we look like we did against Rutgers, we are going to get chewed up and spit out by the rest of the Big Ten and the rest of our schedule the rest of the way.
Yep.
And we can forget about even thinking that there's a chance against Michigan.
Yep.
If we come out looking like we did against Rutgers in the first half. Really, I think at any point the rest of the season. Because if we come out looking like we did against Rutgers in the first half, it's going to be 60-0 at halftime against Michigan, I think.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Yeah. We just got to come out better and get some fire under us. I think we came out real flat against Rutgers. So,
yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we figure it out. But real quick, I just want to say I just want to talk about the Texas Oklahoma game real quick with you. Isn't that fucking hilarious though? Like the horn.
It's always
Yes,
horns down,
always
though.
horns down. Always horns down. But fuck, man, Oklahoma's looked so bad these last couple
Oh,
weeks.
dude. I every K-State game since Adrian left and went there, and they looked like. I know we're talking about Oklahoma. That's just what made me think of it. But when Adrian destroyed them that night, I was like, wow, this Oklahoma team just beat the brakes off of us
Yeah.
and made us look like a middle school team out there.
Yep.
And that was a problem. But maybe Oklahoma is just that bad all the way around.
Yeah.
I don't. Brent Venables might not be Oklahoma's thing, or did Oklahoma just lose so much talent to USC this season in the transfer portal that they can't do anything? And it hurts that they keep losing. Like,
Yeah.
I would rather see them keep winning.
Yep.
And as much as that's hard to say, because it is still Oklahoma, it pains me to see them lose because of how bad it makes us look.
Yeah. And I was just gonna say that about the rest of the losses we have. You know, Georgia Southern, I think, is the only team since they've played us to win a football game. Northwestern has looked awful. Oklahoma has looked awful just the last 2 weeks. Man, like obviously we don't want any of the teams to win, but fuck, it'd make us look a lot better then. You know what I mean? So if we're looking at Northwestern, you know, being oh look who's back. If we're looking at Northwestern, who's you know, sitting at the top of the conference with us, it makes us look a little bit better, and it makes us look like, hey, you know, maybe Nebraska, you know, they had some issues at the start of the season, but they played some good teams. But it's just not the case with the 3 losses we have. They've looked terrible, and we talk about the curse of Scott Frost, or just the curse of playing Nebraska this year. It's really hard to look at and be like, damn, you know, it's hard.
Yeah, it's not great. And the longer the season goes, the worse Oklahoma looks all of a sudden. I don't know how much worse you can look losing the Red River.
Yep, there we go.
49-0. I don't know how much worse it gets than that, but like, you were just in Lincoln. That's how much worse it gets. So
Yeah.
be prepared, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, Ross, I don't know if you have any other comments on that, about how Oklahoma's looked, or that Texas Oklahoma game. I feel bad for
begin with that.
I feel bad for whoever bet on that game. That's what I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, geez. Well, I mean, Texas, you know, they're coming in without their starting QB1 there. They're not looking that great. 500, and they just blow them out of the water like that.
Well, Quinn did play though.
Oh, did he get back in
Yeah,
there?
he did play that game. Yeah, and he looked great.
I guess that's why they put 49 up.
So they did have Quinn Ewers back, but it's still an Oklahoma team that was, you know, ranked 6 when we played them. You know,
yeah,
they
definitely.
have.
Well, you know, Grable, he went down with a head injury now. So.
Yeah, and that takes into effect too. But fuck, to get blown out 49-0 against Texas, who's been a little suspect this year. I don't know, man. It's not a good look for Nebraska. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'd rather be in Nebraska shoes right now, though.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I mean, I think like everybody's gonna look at it like, oh, dude, that's just a terrible loss for Nebraska there. I mean, sure, yeah, we got pummeled, but think of their confidence coming to that game was sky high, right? And then they lose one, oh no. Then they lose another one, oh no. So they're just gonna keep looking worse. I don't think they're gonna get any better from that.
Yep.
But yeah, they definitely were at their peak against us. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of teams were at their peak when they played us, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, even second string quarterbacks from the last couple of years, too.
Yeah, it's nuts. But yeah, another thing Yeah, like Ross and I were talking before the pod too, and we were saying that of course Wisconsin would fire their head coach 2 hours after we got done filming. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just another thing to talk about uh is who could possibly it's funny because now the conversation has shifted from who's going to be Nebraska's head coach to who's Nebraska going to fight Wisconsin for, you know?
Yeah,
Um
Lance Leopold for sure.
Um, well, and so the articles coming out is that Dave Aranda and Lance Leopold, the two, I would say, the main guys that Nebraska is in quotations looking at for real. They both have connections to Wisconsin. Dave Aranda was a D coordinator there from like 2003 to 2010 or some shit. And then Lance Leopold was he was at Whitewater, Wisconsin Whitewater. So he's from Wisconsin. And so both of those guys have ties back there, and it's more like, do they want to go back and resurrect that program? You know, obviously Lance being a more offensive minded coach and Aranda being a defensive minded coach, those are both projects that they can work on and bring back to former glory, you know, being from that state. So it's kind of it'll be interesting to see how Nebraska goes at it and who they choose to go after head coaching wise. But like we said before, if Mickey wins out or if Mickey does enough to keep us, you know, maybe even reach a bowl game, maybe we keep Mickey around. So that's just a little thing to chew on right there.
Yeah. Going on that point right there. We're talking. So when we fired Scott Frost, Arizona State fired. Was that
Edwards.
Tom Herman or
Or,
Herm Edwards?
yep.
Yeah, on the field.
Yep.
And then you got obviously Wisconsin now too. So we got Power Five schools that we have to compete now with.
Yep.
Um, and everybody's always saying, "Oh, everybody wants to go to Nebraska. Why would they not go here?" I mean, yeah, when you look at the money and all that, sure, but
That's
who
a
knows?
project.
Right now, Mickey might just be our best bet.
Yeah. No, Nebraska is a project job. It's not a hey, come here and you're
Not
gonna
a short-term project either.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
This
it's
is
a
long distance.
yep. It's gonna take, you know, when we brought Scott in, we were like, hey, it's gonna maybe in 3-4 years we'll be back on track. But it's what, year 5 now, and we're here.
And he's been gone for a
And
month.
yeah, and so
yeah, we got 3 wins or 2, but
2 wins without him. So
Yeah.
no, and it'll be interesting to see who we actually end up targeting. I think is the right word to use. Also, it's funny that Greg Schiano, Rutgers head coach, let his O coordinator go right after the Husker game. It's kind of funny timing. So really, the curse of Nebraska is a thing. You know, if you play Nebraska, your coaching staff's going to change, or you're going to be completely dog shit for the rest of the season. So
Jeff Brom, look out.
yes, Jeff Brom, look out, dude. Your job is in danger, or at least your staff is.
At
But
least one
be
piece of
wisely.
staff will be gone Monday morning if you're not careful.
no, for sure. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You talk about other college football games around the country, and I think pretty much everything happened what needed to happen. That Texas A&M and Alabama game was close, but Alabama found a way to win. Tennessee looks great. Just talking about other teams. Tennessee looks awesome. Don't know why LSU was ever ranked, but they were, and they got the shit kicked out of them.
Because they have Brian Kelly as their head coach.
Yeah,
That's
right.
why they're
Yep.
in the top 25 to start the season.
Exactly.
Or at any point of the season.
Yep.
True.
I think we figured out that Kentucky is kind of a fluke. Arkansas is kind of a fluke. I think did Arkansas win? I'm not too sure, but I don't think they did. I think they ended up
They got to be
losing.
like 40-17 or something. Like
Yeah.
that against Mississippi State.
So there's let's just look at some scores. Clemson took care of business. USC took care of business. Oklahoma State took care of business. Tennessee, obviously. Ole Miss looked great. Ole Miss is a top 10 team. Their offense looks great. It's funny, have you guys seen all the memes and stuff about UCLA's fans not showing up to the games?
Yes.
That's so funny to me. We want that. We want that coming to the Big Ten. Yes, your team is 6-0 now, and you can barely fill half the stands.
You can
Hilarious.
barely fill the first 15 rows.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Like,
Insane.
it's nuts to me.
you better pay me to show up at that stadium at this point. Like, not happening.
Yeah, being 6-0 isn't enough for me. I'm sorry.
It's crazy. Yeah, Kentucky got beat by South Carolina. Spencer Rattler, I guess, put something together, pulled something out of his ass.
Was Will Levis playing though? They're
I
starting
I
QB
don't
for
believe so.
Kentucky.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that might play something into that. But
So I think Kentucky, we're figuring out they're getting into the meat of their schedule. SEC play. Could be a fluke. Did any of you guys watch that NC State Florida State game?
saw a couple
I did
highlights.
not.
Obviously, that everybody saw that last play.
The last play, so Florida State, just to give some background, Matt, Florida State ended up, it was 17-19 with like 40 seconds left. Florida State's in the red zone. All they got to do is basically run it down to like 5 seconds, kick a field goal, and they win. But for some fucking reason, they decide to throw the ball into the end zone, and it was picked off. So it was kind of like a brain scratcher, a head scratcher, if you will, of why the fuck are you throwing it in the red zone with 40 seconds left? You have a chance to win the game with a field goal. I was talking to a buddy earlier who's a big Florida State fan, and he's like, "Yeah, we just don't trust our kickers." So makes sense, but
The running backs.
Hey, don't blame him. We had that a few years ago. So shout out to Lane McCallum for
Yeah.
hitting that one against Michigan State.
Getting that one right between the paws.
yeah. Looking at some other games, Notre Dame upset against BYU. That was kind of a shock because Notre Dame's not looked great this year at all. Was funny. TCU and Kansas both ranked. Kansas is 5-0, and they ended up losing that game. That was a nail biter I saw at the end there.
Yeah, I was watching that game, but their Kansas's QB that's been like literally should be in the Heisman race at this point. Hopefully he's okay, but yeah, he got knocked out of the game. Well, not
Oh,
knocked
really?
out, but he was running out. I think it was in the red zone, and he was just trying to make too much of it happen, and he was just on a dead sprint towards the sideline, threw the ball out, and just got tackled. All the momentum, just so this guy landed right on him, right on his shoulder.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah,
but
that's
their backup came in and played pretty well. So
it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Still held their spot in the top 25 though, so good for Kansas. They look great this year. Adrian, talk about K-State. What a shootout, 10-9, man. Holy, what an offensive performance from both teams. Am I right?
Boy, am I glad I shut that one off when I did. I shut it off not long after his receiver got that ball punched out at the 1 yard line, and I was like, "Oh no, this isn't gonna be good."
Man,
I hope after a little bit that was a little humbling.
yeah,
definitely.
It is for real. Things do happen. Things will continue to happen, and
Yep.
it's not always going to be great like it has been the last few weeks.
yep,
Yeah.
But I mean, happy for Adrian that he's playing well. I wish he would have played well when he was at Nebraska, but I think it's kind of maybe a little Scott Frost had something to do with that, but talk about that another day. Yeah, Arizona State, all that. So speaking of Arizona State, firing Herm Edwards on the field, crazy, right? But they go into Washington and pull off an upset. So good for them. Good for them. But these, yeah. Go ahead.
That kind of seems like one of those rally around the new guy type of games.
Yeah.
That we would have had one of those same things. We just got drawn Oklahoma at the time.
Yep.
Which looked way worse or way better, I guess, of a loss at the time than it does now. Not to go back to that, but like if we play somebody other than Oklahoma, we probably win that game because we rally around Mickey the way that we did.
I agree.
So
yeah, 100%. And then Mississippi State man, Arkansas was like what top 10 at the start of the year and has lost like 3 straight SEC games. So, and some of these SEC schools get too much love, I think. But
I think
Say too
the
much
SEC
love.
just
What'd you say, Daniel?
I was saying I think some of these SEC teams get too much love.
Yeah, I mean they beat the shit out of each other just like the Big Ten does, every week.
Yeah.
So
No,
the
but
problem is they throw the SEC higher than the Big Ten
yeah,
at all moments of time.
yeah,
No matter. I'm not saying that because Nebraska should be anywhere because we shouldn't be anywhere but the bottom. But here we are, still sitting in first place.
yeah,
So
uh,
but the SEC, the SEC bias is a problem, and you can't tell me that it doesn't exist.
yeah.
And if you're telling me it doesn't exist, you're probably a fan of the SEC and you're a jackass.
Yep.
So
We can
true.
thank.
Aiming for Alabama every fucking week.
I was just gonna say we can thank Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher and all the big name head coaches that choose the SEC over other schools. So yeah, thanks.
I
It's
wish
not
they
like
would have thrown hands at midfield after
oh my
that
god,
game, after all the beef they had this offseason.
oh my god, that would have been the icing on the cake. Well, there was a video of Jimbo just kind of sitting at midfield for like 5 minutes, waiting for Nick to turn around and shake his hand pregame.
Oh.
That's kind of
Yeah.
awkward, but no, it's not like the Big Ten's got Michigan, Ohio State, 2 teams in the top 10 or top 5. It's fine. We get no love. It's all right.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll take it and continue to rock with it. And
Yeah,
hopefully, when we get there again, we don't look like Michigan did last winter. So,
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to: is you just have to perform at that moment in time
Yep.
and not let the fact that it's the SEC just beat the brakes off of you.
Yep.
yeah, definitely.
I agree. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I think that does it for now. I want to thank Ross for coming back for
Yeah,
this pod, but also because his computer died. So thanks for coming back and closing the show. What a
she
warrior!
revived. I revived her. She came
Yeah,
back.
did a little CPR and we revived and we're back. Also thanks to Matt for coming on. Matt's been one of my friends for a long time, so it's good to get him on the pod. Probably see him again down the line for some NFL stuff. But yeah, I think Ross will be here almost every weekend, but we'll figure something out. So
Yeah,
But-
Matt, it was
Nice
good
to
having
see you fellas again.
yes,
you.
sir.
Yeah, man.
So you,
Maybe.
you couldn't even grow nothing on that face of yours the last time I saw you.
Yeah, true.
And Daniel, well, I mean, I guess me and Daniel are kind of in the same boat.
Yeah. Yep.
We got to work. You Kirby boys are some hairy fellas.
Harry, man. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Still confusing.
So, but yeah, that'll wrap it up. Thank you to everybody who's listening. Like I said again, shout out to Ross and Matt for coming on the pod. I'll be a little bit more consistent. I just started work now, so I'll try and be a little bit more consistent, uploading some stuff, getting more content out for you guys. But do appreciate you guys listening. Go follow them on socials. I'll link them down below. We'll figure it out. But thank you again for listening. Anything you guys have to say at the end? Last words?
Thanks for having us on. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you. And well, I hope to do this again. It was a lot of fun. And thank you guys.
Yes, sir. All right. You guys be good, be safe, peace and love. Bye.